to reflect on our current society's reaction to COVID-19. I'm making this video on December 21st, 2020. 2020 has been a hell of a year. I disagree with the panic that has accompanied society in general's reaction to the virus and the death that it has caused. I get angry when I watch CNN here in the Philippines. That's the news channel that I get besides Al Jazeera. Anyhow, I am making some videos to share some really wise and eternal words of advice that will always be relevant from the great Roman emperor and philosopher Marcus Aurelius, from his book Meditations. I'm on book 4. This is episode 4. So from book 4, from number 3, what's there to complain about? People's misbehavior, but take into consideration that rational beings exist for one another, that doing what's right sometimes requires patience, that no one does the wrong thing deliberately. And the number of people who have feuded and envied and hated and fought and died and been buried. And keep your mouth shut. Moving on in number 3, that things have no hold on the soul. They stand there, unmoving, outside it. Disturbance comes only from within, from our own perceptions. That everything you see will soon alter and cease to exist. Think of how many changes you've already seen. The world is nothing but change. Our life is only perception. Number 5, death. To all of you fretting about the deaths from COVID-19. Death, something like birth and natural mystery, elements that split and recombine. Not an embarrassing thing, not an offense to reason or our nature. Number 15, many lumps of incense on the same altar. One crumbles now, one later, but it makes no difference. Number 17, not to live as if you had endless years ahead of you. Death overshadows you. While you're alive and able, be good. I add my own words onto that. Death overshadows you all the time, not just during this pandemic. So while you're alive and able, now, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of death like a coward, like a child. Go out and do good. Don't wear a face mask like an idiot who's afraid of death. Number 18, the tranquility that comes when you stop caring what they say, or think, or do. Only what you do. Number 19, people who are excited by posthumous fame forget that the people who remember them will soon die too, and those after them in turn, until their memory, passed from one to another like a candle flame, gutters and goes out. But suppose that those who remembered you were immortal and your memory undying. What good would it do you? And I don't just mean when you're dead, but in your own lifetime. What use is praise, except to make your lifestyle a little more comfortable? Number 26. You've seen that. Now look at this. Don't be disturbed. Uncomplicate yourself. Someone has done wrong to himself. Something happens to you. Good. It was meant for you by nature, woven into the pattern from the beginning. Life is short. That's all there is to say. Get what you can from the present, thoughtfully, justly. Don't wait for someone to tell you that it's safe to go outside. That now you can go outside without your face mask. Now you can go outside and be near other people, your friends, your family members, your associates. Don't wait. Life is short and death is natural. So go out. That's all there is to say. Get what you can from the present. Now. From number 32. Survey the records of other eras, and see how many others gave their all, and soon died and decomposed into the elements that formed them. But most of all, run through the list of those you knew yourself, those who worked in vain, who failed to do what they should have remained fixed on and found satisfaction in. A key point to bear in mind: the value of attentiveness varies in proportion to its object. You're better off not giving the small things more time than they deserve. And this coronavirus is a small thing. Pay it a little bit of attention and then move on. Something that the panic mongers at CNN don't do, will never do. From number 33, everything fades so quickly, turns into legend, and soon oblivion covers it. And those are the ones who shone, the rest unknown, unasked for, a minute after death. What is eternal fame? Emptiness. Then what should we work for? Only this: proper understanding, unselfish action, truthful speech, a resolve to accept whatever happens as necessary and familiar, flowing like water from that same source and spring. Number 37. on the verge of dying, and still weighed down, still turbulent, still convinced external things can harm you, still rude to other people, still not acknowledging the truth that wisdom is justice. Number 44. Everything that happens is as simple and familiar as the rose in spring, the fruit in summer, disease, death, blasphemy, conspiracy, everything that makes stupid people happy or angry. Death. If death makes you angry, you're stupid. Wolf Blitzer, Sanjay Gupta, et al. Suppose, from number 47, suppose that a god announced that you were going to die tomorrow or the day after. Unless you were a complete coward, you wouldn't kick up a fuss about which day it was. What difference could it make? Now recognize that the difference between years from now and tomorrow is just as small. Okay? I'm so tired every time I watch the news or read the news that it's all about, oh no, the number of people who have died. Oh God. It makes no difference. Number 48. Don't let yourself forget how many doctors have died after furrowing their brows over how many deathbeds. How many astrologers after pompous forecasts about others' ends. How many philosophers after endless disquisitions on death and immortality. How many warriors after inflicting thousands of casualties themselves. How many tyrants after abusing the power of life and death atrociously, as if they were themselves immortal. President Bush II. How many whole cities have met their end? Helike, Pompeii, Herculaneum, and countless others. And all the ones you know yourself, one after another. One who laid out another for burial and was buried himself. And then the man who buried him, all in the same short space of time. In short, know this: human lives are brief and trivial. Yesterday, a blob of semen. Tomorrow, embalming fluid, ash. To pass through this brief life as nature demands. To give it up without complaint. Like an olive that ripens and falls, praising its mother, thanking the tree it grew on. That's very important to remember. Human lives are brief and trivial. Yesterday, a blob of semen. Tomorrow, embalming fluid, ash. To pass through this life as nature demands. To give it up without complaint. Without complaint and without panic. And without raising all kinds of alarms because nature is taking nature's path and people are dying. This is what happens, and it doesn't matter. Number 50, a trite but effective tactic against the fear of death. Think of the list of people who had to be pried away from life What did they gain by dying old? In the end, they all sleep 6 feet under. Cadicianus, Fabius, Julian, Lepidus, and all the rest. They buried their contemporaries and were buried in turn. Our lifetime is so brief, and to live it out in these circumstances, among these people, in this body, nothing to get excited about. Consider the abyss of time past, the infinite future. 3 days of life or 3 generations? What's the difference? Number 51. To take the shortest route, the one that nature planned. To speak and act in the healthiest way. Do that and be free of pain and stress. Free of all calculation and pretension.